Hey, what's going on everyone? Welcome back to my Final Fantasy X Tips and Tricks series. Today's video will be a bit longer since I want this to be everyone's one-stop guide for the celestial weapons. I'll be showing you guys where and how to get all the celestial weapons for each of the characters and where to get the accompanying crests and sigil to fully power them. Little bit of a disclaimer, I won't be going fully in-depth with all the minigames since I already made in-depth guides for some of them and I plan to make more detailed guides in the future. This video will be limited to showing you guys what minigames to play, how to trigger them, and some general tips on completing them efficiently. Like always, timestamps in the description box below. Here we go. First things first, we need the Cloudy Mirror before we can begin collecting these celestial weapons. You can find the Cloudy Mirror in Ramium Temple and acquire it by beating the Chocobo race there. I have a guide on how to get all 5 chests in this race which I made last year, but to get the Cloudy Mirror you just have to beat the opposing Chocobo regardless of how many chests you open. So for now, just beat the other bird and get the Cloudy Mirror. I'll show you guys exactly how to do it. Next step is to turn the Cloudy Mirror into the Celestial Mirror. To do this, you have to make your way to Macalania Woods. You have to head to this area that's blocked by some random person and won't move. Head down to the center of the woods where you can find a Wakka or Wants and talk to this woman and her son. The woman will tell you that she can't find her husband. You can find her husband over here and tell him to meet with his family, but when you go back, the kid is missing, so you have to look for him as well. Bad parenting from the mom if you ask me. Anyway, head up the path that was initially blocked, which you will now notice is no longer blocked, and the kid is actually staring at this giant glowing bud. Talk to the kid, and the game will ask you if you want to cleanse the Cloudy Mirror, and voila, Celestial Mirror. Now that we're done with the Celestial Mirror, we can finally start collecting the weapons. One final note, please equip a no encounters weapon while doing any of the things I'm about to tell you, except for the times that you have to do some monster capturing, because duh, common sense. Trust me, it'll save a lot of time. For Tidus' celestial weapon, Bolg, you have to make your way to the Comlands. In the northern portion of the Comlands, there's a little ramp that heads down to a certain area, but it's blocked by some random person yet again. To get him to move, talk to the Chocobo trainer and ask him to train you. You have to complete all the challenges until the Catcher Chocobo race unlocks. Now you have to play and win this race by finishing with less time as the trainer. This means you can still beat him even if he arrives at the finish line before you do, as long as you beat him on time. Once you beat the trainer, the dude that was once blocking the path is no longer there, and you can actually just go down the ramp. Anyway, head down the ramp and speak to the wall. It'll say that the Celestial Mirror is reacting to it. Just hit confirm and then boom. Bolg for Tidus. If you look at its stats, you'll notice that it has nothing, but that's because you need to power it. For that, we need the Sun Crest and Sigil. The Sun Crest can be found in Lady Yunalesca's lair by climbing down the stairs after beating her. Please, for the love of God, make sure you pick this up right after beating her and before going back to Bavel to speak with Bahamut's Faith, because if you don't, you'll be met with one of the hardest Dark Aeon bosses in the entire game. For the Sun Sigil, you have to go back to the Chocobo Trainer in the Calmlands and this time complete the same Catcher Chocobo race with a time of less than 0.00 seconds. This means you have to get enough balloons to reduce your time to under 0 seconds on the clock. As soon as you finish that, you'll be rewarded the Sun Sigil. This race is the most luck-based of the Sigil minigames and side quests, so be prepared to spend a bit of time. Some tips I guess are to use the D-pad when controlling the Chocobo, collect the balloons off on the sides of the track because it'll be easier for you to dodge the birds that way, and pray. I go into detail on this minigame in the same Chocobo racing tutorial I made, so go check that out if you need a few more tips. I could go into them here, but it would make this video way longer than it already is. Once you have both the crest and sigil, head back to the area in Macalania Woods where you upgraded the Cloudy Mirror and interact with the bud once more. Pick the character whose weapon it is you want to power up. Do it twice, and now you have a fully powered celestial weapon. Next up, we have Yuna. To obtain her celestial weapon Nirvana, all you have to do is catch one of each monster in the Calmlands. Once you complete this side quest, the full monster arena will unlock, and you'll be rewarded a chest that reacts to the celestial mirror. Interact with it, and you'll obtain Nirvana. Like Khalid Bowl, Nirvana needs to be fully powered with its Moon Crest and Moon Sigil. The Moon Crest is simple enough to get. All you have to do is head to the Besaid Beach and swim to the right side of the area. You'll find a hidden beach with a treasure chest on it containing the Moon Crest. The Moon Sigil is another story, and you'll find it's a recurring theme on how frustratingly difficult and time-consuming these sigils can be. Anyway, to get the Moon Sigil, you have to beat every single summon Belgamine can throw at you at the Remium Temple. If it sounds simple, you'd be right. Beating all the Aeons isn't a problem at all, it's quite easy actually. The problem lies in unlocking all of the Aeons. The story gives you 5 of them. You have Valefor, Ifrit, Ixion, Shiva, and Bahamut, with 5 optional Aeons being Anima, Yojimbo, and then the 3 Mega Sisters. Yojimbo is the quickest one of the 3 to acquire, while Anima could be as simple as showing up where you're supposed to, or getting blocked by potentially 2 Dark Aeons. The Mega Sisters are simple enough to get, but a little time consuming. First, we acquire Yojimbo. We have to go to the Cavern of the Stolen Faith, which is that little cave beneath Mount Gagazet. When you get to the end, you'll meet the first summoner Lulu guarded that died there, and you have to fight Yojimbo because she summons it. I won't go into beating her because that's not the point of this video, but once you do, step on the teleporter pad to enter the Room of the Faith. Little bit of a warning, and I probably should have said this first, but you're going to need some cash here to pay Yojimbo to join your party. If you want Yojimbo for the least amount of cash, you're going to have to haggle with him. The cheapest you can get him is at around 190,000 gil. The negotiation will begin with Yoji asking you 250,000 gil. You should offer half plus 1, which is 125,001 gil. Next, he'll ask for 225,000 gil. Offer again half plus 1, which in this case is 112,501 gil. Then he'll ask for 202,500 gil. This time, offer him the specific amount 141,751 gil, or 141,751 gil. He will lower his asking price to 190,350 gil. Match this asking price, and congratulations, you have Yojimbo. Next up is Anima. You can acquire Anima at Botch Temple, the place where Tidus got swept off at the beginning of the game, if you remember. You can unlock this area via the airship by clicking around this specific part of the map. Just keep tapping and moving the cursor around these coordinates and you'll eventually get a prompt that says you unlock Botch Temple. Next, you have to make sure you got all the Destruction Sphere treasures at each of the 6 story temples. Do not forget Zanarkand. It has a Destruction Sphere and a lot of people forget about it. Lucky for you guys, I have a full video guide on all the temples on my channel, so feel free to click on the link in the description box below. Mind you, if you forget to get the Destruction Spheres in the Besaid and Macalania temples, by the time you go back to them in the endgame, you'll be greeted by Dark Valefor and Dark Shiva respectively. You're going to have to beat them before you regain access to the temples. Anyway, once you have all the Destruction Sphere treasures, head over to Baj Temple and into this little room. Once you're outside the chamber, talk to each of the statues until all of them are lit up. If a statue won't light up, that means you don't have the corresponding Destruction Sphere treasures. Pray that it's not either of these two. Once all the statues are lit up, you can enter the Chamber of the Faith and acquire anima. The Mega Sisters are straightforward to obtain. You acquire them at Remium Temple. However, the chamber where you get them is blocked. You need 2 key items to open the chamber, the Flower Scepter and the Blossom Crown. You acquire the Blossom Crown by capturing one of each monster in Mount Gagazet. The Monster Arena dude will give it to you as a prize. To get the Flower Scepter, you have to beat every Aeon until Bahamut. After that, she'll give you the Flower Scepter, which will allow you to unlock the chamber. After acquiring the Mega Sisters, speak to Belgamine again, and you'll have to beat the 3 optional Aeons, and only then will she give you the Moon Sigil.
Yes. It is in your hands. Destroy sin and save Spira.
Once you acquire it, head back to the Macalania Woods and fully power up your Nirvana. Now for Rikku's celestial weapon, God Hand. To acquire it, simply talk to Sid on the airship and input the password, God Hand. You'll unlock an area in Mushroom Rock Road, fly to it, and head all the way to the back. You'll find a chest that reacts to the celestial mirror, interact with it, and you'll acquire God Hand for Rikku. Like all other celestial weapons, it needs to be powered up with the corresponding crest and sigil. The name of the sigil will depend on the version of the game you're playing. PlayStation and Steam users will have the North American naming scheme, so Rikku's crest and sigil will be named Mercury. If you're playing on the Switch or Xbox One or any Japanese version, Rikku's crest or sigil will be named Venus. The locations of the crest and sigils for each corresponding character stays the same. It's only the naming scheme that was affected. Anyway, Rikku's crest can be found in Beaconell Island, in the big desert before home. Head to this area with a bunch of holes and you'll find a chest. Open it and you'll get her crest. For her sigil, you'll be playing a bit of hide and seek with a few cactars. To begin the minigame, you have to talk to this tombstone? You know, south of the area that has a sandstorm. The tombstone will give you a hint to a cactar's location. Once you find the cactar, you'll play a little minigame where you have to tag it without it spotting you move. If you successfully do it, you'll get a chance to battle it. But whether or not the minigame is done successfully, you're going to have to go back to the tombstone and you'll place a little spherical gem on it, signifying that you found one. After that, it'll give you another hint to find another cactar and repeat the process. You have to find all 10 of them. If you want to find them yourself without my help, click to this time of the video, but for those of you that want all their locations, here they are. This will easily take you about half an hour, assuming you have a no encounters weapon equipped and know where each cactar is. Anyway, so you guys don't get confused, I gotta split the entire Beaconell Island into 4 areas. The first area is where the oasis is. The second area is the long corridor. The third area is the first big desert that has ruins off to the left side. And the fourth area is the other big desert where you start the minigame. Jumping right in, Tame can be found in the first area by the oasis. Ravivea can be found running around on the left side before entering the third area from the second area. Chava can be found in the fourth area by speaking to the sign near the left entrance. The twins Alec and Aloha can be found by the ruins in the third area. Vachella can be found in the second area by this save sphere. Just click on it and exit. Robea can be found inside a chest in the third area on the far left near the fence. Isra can be found running around one of the pits in the 4th area, but will only appear after you leave and re-enter the 4th area. Elio can be found by the Oasis again, but he'll use the save sphere to beam up into the airship. Follow him and you'll find him in the upper deck. Lastly, Flail will show up immediately after putting Elio's sphere in the tombstone. Once you find all the cactars, the sandstorm will stop and you gain access to a new area. Open this chest that you'll find in the area and you'll receive Riku's sigil. Head back to Macalania Woods and fully power up Godhand. Next is Lulu. To get her celestial weapon, Anya Knight, head back to Baj Temple and go to the area where you fought Gius Geno. You know, the big thing that tried to eat Tidus in the early game. Dive down and swim to the eastern part of the pool. There is a chest that's out of the camera's view, so just keep clicking around the area until you get a prompt to use the celestial mirror. Say yes and you'll acquire Anya Knight. Like the other celestial weapons, you have to power this up. Lulu's crest and sigil will be named Venus in the PlayStation and Steam versions, while it'll be named Mars in the Switch, Xbox One, and Japanese versions of the game. Lulu's crest can be found in the far plane in Guadosalam. You'll also get to see an optional cutscene focused on Lulu.
I'm still not the person I wanted to become. Not yet. I'll come back to let you know how things went.
The sigil, on the other hand, is another story. Instructions are straightforward though. Head to the Thunder Plains and dodge 200 lightning bolts in a row. If you want a more detailed guide on this, I made a short video regarding this topic. Link in the description, please check it out. Though I will give you a big tip here. Just do the crater trick, easiest way to do it. When you're done dodging, head back to the Thunder Plains Inn and keep opening the chest until it gives you the sigil. Once you acquire the sigil, head back to Macalania Woods and fully power Anya Knight. Auron is up next, and he has the most useful celestial weapon in my opinion. His weapon is simple enough to find, but extremely dangerous if done incorrectly. Before anything though, we need the rusty sword first. Head to the area before entering the Cavern of the Stolen Faith. Go to the right until you see a sword stuck to the ground. Click on it and you'll receive the rusty sword. You can then find the celestial weapon somewhere in Mushroom Rock Road, but do not land there with the airship. You have to land at Jose High Road and head west from the beach. Keep following the path until you reach this little opening with an elevating platform. Ride the platform to the top, you'll see a statue of Lord Mihen. Click on it to place the rusty sword. A little glyph will then appear. Click on that, and it'll say the Celestial Mirror responds to it. You'll then acquire Masamune. Like all the others, it needs to be fully powered with the corresponding crest and sigil. Auron's crest and sigil are named Mars in the PlayStation and Steam versions, and Saturn in the Switch, Xbox One, and Japanese versions. To get Auron's crest, you can find it at the end of the alternate path by the entrance to the Mushroom Rock Road. The sigil, on the other hand, requires you to do a bit of monster capturing. The Monster Arena guy will give you the sigil for unlocking 10 of the species conquest or area conquests, or combination of the two. The simplest way to do this is to capture at least one of each monster in 10 different areas. I suggest going for the earlier areas because they require the least amount of species to capture, and if you're in the middle of the monster capturing side quest, you'll already have one of each monster from the Comlands. Once you acquire the sigil, head back to Macalania Woods and fully power Masamune. Now for Wakka. Fair warning, his is probably the most time-consuming of all of them, no matter how good you are at Blitzball. Oh, by the way, we're gonna be playing a lot of Blitzball. Anyway, to get his Celestial Weapon, World Champion, head to the bar in Lucca, where Kimahri got into a fight with his two older brothers. Speak to the bartender and show her the Celestial Mirror. She'll give you World Champion and let you know that it's an heirloom from High Summoner O'Holland. Like all the others, it needs a corresponding crest and sigil. Wakka's crest and sigil will be named Jupiter in the PlayStation and Steam versions, while named Mercury in the Switch, Xbox One, and Japanese versions. Wakka's crest can be found in the Auron's locker room in one of the lockers. The sigil, on the other hand, will require you to play a lot of Blitzball. You'll find the sigil as a prize in the League section, but certain conditions need to be met. You'll need to have acquired all 4 of Wakka's overdrives. You'll find attack reels as a prize from the tournament section, status reels in the League section, and Auron's reels in the tournament section again. Each overdrive will not appear until you acquire the one before it. They also appear by chance, so status reels may or may not appear until you get attack reels, and so on with Auron's reels. One more thing, the overdrives will only appear if Wakka has participated in a certain number of battles. The community still isn't sure what those numbers are, but here are what the estimates look like. Another note, to get the prizes to refresh in the league, you'll need to either play through the entire league, which is 10 matches, or reset all Blitzball data, which will make all the teams return to their default rosters, all levels will be reset to 1, and all techniques learned will be erased. I'm personally not a big fan of this method because I don't like having to reset my Blitzball progress, but it is quicker than having to play an entire league that has no bearing whatsoever. Instead, if I want to refresh the prizes, I tend to play through the entire league, but actively try to concede a goal, which will allow me to forfeit the game, or if my opponent sucks and can't score, I just stay by my goal and wait the timeout. Still takes some time, but I can do other things in real life while grinding this out. Anyway, once you get the sigil to appear as a prize in the league section, you're going to have to win first place to get it. I'm planning to make a Blitzball for Dummies guide in the future, so stay tuned, but if it isn't out by the time you're watching this, feel free to check on any other guide you can find on YouTube. Once you win the sigil, head over to Macalania Woods to fully power the World Champion. Last but definitely not least, Kimahri. To obtain Kimahri's Celestial Weapon, Spirit Lance, you must first go to the Thunder Plains and pray to the 3 glowing Cactar stones. There are multiple stones that glow randomly, so you have to find 3 of them to pray to. You can pray by pressing square for the PlayStation users, Y for the Nintendo Switch users, or X for the Xbox users. For PC, you'll have to figure out what button you have mapped to the equivalent of the square button. Anyway, once you finish praying to the 3 Cactar stones, come to the Fallen Lightning Rod on the right side of the first area of the Thunder Plains and pray to it too. A small praying cutscene will play out before a chest would appear in front of you. Click on it and have the Celestial Mirror react to it. Once you open the chest, you'll obtain the Spirit Lance. Like all the other weapons, it requires a crest and sigil to fully power it. Kimahri's crest and sigil is named Saturn in the PlayStation and Steam versions, and Jupiter in the Switch, Xbox One, and Japanese versions. Kimahri's crest can be found in that little corridor after beating Seymour Flux on Mount Gagazet right before entering Gagazet Cave. It's in between 2 pillars, very difficult to miss. His sigil, on the other hand, can give a lot of people really bad headaches. Infamously known as the butterfly catching minigame, you have to complete both butterfly catching routes in Macalania Woods in order to obtain the sigil. The two routes have different starting points. The longer route has its starting point next to the Birdman dude. Just touch the butterfly next to him when it turns blue. It's pretty much the same thing for the shorter route, but its starting point is the butterfly floating near the entrance to the final path going to Lake Macalania. The point of the minigame is to collect all the blue butterflies in each route within a certain time limit. You can attempt either route in any order. You'll get a chest for completing each route, and whichever route you finish second, the chest will contain the sigil. Every time you bump into a red butterfly, you'll be forced into an inescapable encounter while the minigame timer runs down. So catch the blue butterflies and avoid the red ones. The biggest tip that I can tell you is that all the positions of the butterflies are fixed, so if you memorize where to pass and where they are, you'll get through it eventually. You can even find maps online that show you the path you can take to avoid the red butterflies whilst collecting the blue ones. Here's one I found after a quick Google search, but it's somewhat incomplete. Still helpful though. Also, don't leave the area even after you complete the challenge if you haven't opened the chest containing Kimahri's sigil. The minigame will reset and you'll have to do it all over again. Once you have the sigil, head up to the area to fully power the celestial weapons and fully power Spirit Lance. And we're finally done. Wow, that took a lot longer than I anticipated, but I feel like I got all the important stuff out there. I'm working on more in-depth guides regarding the mini-games, so please subscribe to check them out as soon as they drop. On a more helpful note, I do suggest collecting all the celestial weapons because of their ignore defense passive ability. It's really helpful for the post-game bosses. Anyway, if you have any questions, please leave them down below in the comment section and I will respond to them. Please leave a like if you found this mega guide helpful and share it with someone you know that might need it. Also, to any of you seasoned veterans watching, feel free to correct anything I said. I want this video to be as helpful as possible for the Final Fantasy X community, so pointing out any mistakes with the video would be a big help. Anyway, that's it for me guys. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out everyone and take care.